you fucks. Welcome to John Solo's Beer Brigade. I'm John Solo, and it is our, I don't know how many is it. I think we're on number 6 today of our Talk to the Beard episodes. And on this time, so this is all on the theme of me having people on that I don't know today.
Good.
Yeah, so tell them who you are and tell them what you do.
I am MJ Calabrese, and most people say Calabrese because Nick Russo started calling me MJ Calabrese, and it stuck. And so that's what everybody calls me now, so I just go. But I'm an author. This is my pseudonym. I've done writing in film and television before this, and so doing writing, I go way, way, way back into the 1980s where I did slash fan fiction writing. I know some of the old timers know what slash is, and that's basically writing. But you would take 2 characters from your favorite show, usually Kirk and Spock, and you put them together in romantic situations. That's where you learned about hurt, comfort, or first times, or all these different genres that they have.
Words are hard, dude.
Especially this time of night.
Yeah.
And so since 1982, I've written gay romance, basically. Mostly not for money, but then I took some time off, did some other work, and came back to reading this and went, I think I have some stories in me. I think I can do this. And that's what I've done now.
Stop for a second, MJ. I fucked that so up. It's kind of late, all right? It's kind of late, and I fucked it up. So you just told a whole big story, and I did not hit go live.
I can do it again. I can do it over.
Good, because we're live.
Wow. I don't know if I can do it.
I'm just going to sink down in my chair, and I'm going to... This is my 6th one of the night, and I forgot to hit the one button. I have 2 buttons to hit. I've automated it all, and I fucked it up and didn't hit the one button. I was sorry, guys. Sorry. So wait, let me see if I can. I'll get you up to where you were. Okay. So MJ has been at this since very early on. Back in 1982, she started reading fanfic, but slash fanfic. She wrote about Spock and Kirk fucking each other. She shipped them together. Look at that. I know these terms. Look at that. I'm getting good at it. She wasn't getting paid then. She's also written in TV and film since. That's about where you were, right? That's
about where I was at. Now, of course, I'm doing this work full time. Like I said, I'm absolutely loving it. The people that I'm meeting, I've been to conventions before, but not like this. But this has just been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
I love these people. And so I'm introducing myself to everyone. I am using what I call, there's an actor named Richard Burgi. He's been in lots of television shows and all this kind of thing. And I met him once, and he was great. And I said, this man has been well trained, because he went up to every single woman who was at this convention. He shook their hand. He talked to them for maybe 2-3 minutes. And everyone, after he walked away, they said, that's a nice guy. And they've been following him ever since, for years and years and years throughout his career. He's still got the same fans following him. And I said, so I want to use the Richard Burgi school of introducing myself. So when we had our orientation here, I went around from table to table, and I said, tomorrow I'm doing a signing, and I really don't want to sit there by myself. Could you guys come over and at least say hi to me? And I was absolutely amazed at the number of people, and a lot very well-known writers were sitting around going, who the hell is she? She's got all these people coming over to her table. Why does she have people coming to her table? I don't even know who she is, including you.
So I have questions.
Yes.
First off, 1982, and you're writing about Spock and Kirk. Now, I know I'm not of the age that you are. I was born in 77, but I'm incredibly familiar with Star Trek. When you get into this, was it Spock giving it to Kirk, or was it Kirk giving it to Spock?
Both, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they flipped. Okay.
Sometimes, I'd say more like 80% of the time, Spock was the alpha. And Kirk was definitely, he was the bottom, he was the omega. That he could be in charge, when he was running the ship. But then when those doors closed, Spock was the one.
Were you writing for television and movies and such while you were writing the fanfic in the evenings?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I actually wrote a film in 1987 that got produced. It's still out there on the internet. You can still find it, called The Banker.
Okay.
I did it under a pseudonym, Dana Augustine.
Okay.
And that was also the time. Okay, you're going through and you think, I want to be a producer. I want to be a director. I want to be a writer. When you're a woman, it's really, really hard to break in. And so I wrote the script. It was an action slasher, rich man who's hunting down these poor damsels, these girls, and killing them. And I thought, somehow I'm going to get this produced. There's a writer a while back, Gerald Petovich, who wrote To Live and Die in L.A. Me and this other new author were sitting in class. We were the only women in there, and he said, I'm going to tell you right now, there's no woman in here who can write a decent action scene. And Sue Grafton and I looked at each other and went, oh yeah, he's called, right. We're going to show this son of a bitch. And we ended up with straight A's in that class because it was like, he's going, guys, these women are showing you up. You really need to start working on your craft here. And he was bellowing at them because they weren't putting in enough work and we were doing better. Well, as a result of that, I wrote the script called The Banker. And then I had to sell it. I couldn't get anyone to read it because I'm a woman. So I became Dana Augustine. How very neutral.
It's kind of
like a neutral name.
All right.
And a friend of mine worked for UPS, so I went ahead, borrowed their uniform. I went in with the script, put it down on the desk, had a person sign for it.
You dressed up as a UPS driver?
Yeah. West Wind Productions. I went in, they signed my little thing, gave it to them. Just as if I had been asked to deliver a script there. I was a courier.
That's fantastic.
Okay? And next thing I know, because it's got all my contact information on it.
Sure.
I have a low voice. I get called and I get this young woman going, I need to speak with Dana Augustine. We need to set up a time to talk about this. I can't right this moment remember the producers' names, but they need to talk to you. Okay. And I still thought, well, I sound too much like a woman. So I said, I'll have Dana give you a call, but if you'll give me a time, we can set this up.
Yeah, no, you're getting some gatekeepers. Too.
I show up at the right time, right date. And they said, wait a second. You're a woman. Yeah, tits and all. I'm dressed in a nice suit. I had pants on, but yep, I'm definitely a girl. And they go, well, we really like your script. And I was like, well, all right. So I got a flat fee payout for that one. And then I also got my WGA card out of it.
No,
because of selling
the WGA card?
Writers Guild of America.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah. And that was the beginning of my Hollywood writing career, which, like most authors, you have to have a second job because you get paid real good for a script or for a television episode or whatever. And then you won't get anything else for 3 years. And it's like, no, you can't really make a living at it. And so I got my RN, and that's how I supported myself, was being a nurse, being a dominatrix, being all kinds of these wonderful things.
Okay. So we're going back to Spock and Kirk first.
Okay.
And then we're going to so in the evenings while you're doing this, you're still writing the fanfic. Are you doing any fanfic other than Spock and Kirk, or is that just because I think the Star Wars stuff got in there too?
Spock and Kirk, because there's another writer out there, Wendy Rathbone, and her girlfriend at that time, Della Van Heist, who had these zines. People actually had paper zines that you bought at conventions. And they said, would you write for us? And so I'd give them stories in return for free zines. So I could, read everybody else's work. And through time, though, I got into other fandoms. There was a couple of British television shows. Blake 7. I'm actually, if there's a slash zine out there called, all right, it's a play on words, Oh Blake, and it's you can still find them. They're sitting out there, being sold, where me and two other people wrote everything that's in there. I wrote one that has a lot of The Pros, which was a British series about kind of like a NSA kind of guys, maybe Mission Impossible-ish type of things. The two actors in real life hated each other. Beyond belief, they hated each other. But on the show, one of them had found out about the slash that was going on. And he would, in the background, play up, like when the other actor would walk into the room, he would deliberately look at his backside, look down, look back up and grin, and then look away. The other actor never knew he was doing it.
This fascinates me in a lot of ways, and I'll tell you why. It's simply because I know a lot of writers, and probably I would guess 75% of the writers that I know that have been writing for more than 10 years all came from fanfic that are now writing in romance.
It's a great proving ground.
Well, yeah, because you can, and you were a professional writer. You've written a freaking movie. You're doing this, but at the same time, in the evenings, you're coming home and you're writing about two characters, fanfic, and yeah.
But screenwriting.
That's how you say it. It's fanficking.
It is. It's fan fucking sometimes too. But
fan fucking tastic is what it is.
What I was doing is so different than what like regular fiction is. Novelized fiction is completely different than writing a screenplay, because that's shorthand. I don't have to describe what anyone's wearing unless it's significant in a script. A girl runs through woods. The director gets to go choose what the woods are and how skimpy she is clad.
Sure.
And here is a car chase. They get to design whatever car chase they want. I don't have to go through and in my head go, and he turned left down eighths, tires screeching, blah, 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 Well,
yeah, those are the novelizations of a movie. The script itself is not that.
Yeah. And so I was coming into having to learn how to put all those bits and pieces in there that you don't think about when you're a screenwriter. And recently, because I'm working on some more scripts that we're trying to sell on spec and stuff, I'm having to re-engineer, kind of take it apart again and not be so wordy.
Yeah, not micromanaging the other people in their responsibilities.
That's exactly it.
And from the fanfic, it sounds to me like you also had let's say a power struggle fascination, because you mentioned the word dominatrix, and a lot of people thought I was going to go there right away, but no, I wanted to explore the fanfic a bit more, because one plays into the other, I think.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know you, but it sounds to me like it kind of does. And you mentioned something that I've never heard before. You mentioned money involved in the dominatrix thing. So you were actually a paid dominatrix.
I was paid, very much so.
This I've never run into. Really? Maybe I have, and I didn't know it. I don't know, but nobody's ever said I used to get paid to be a dominatrix to me before.
Oh yeah, I got paid to beat people.
That's fantastic.
Humiliate
I don't know if it actually
them.
is fantastic. I'm not sure.
No, I never did pee on anyone or anything like that.
See, now I've learned in the rooms I go to say yet before these things.
You negotiate. You know what you're going to get paid for ahead of time.
Okay.
They say, I want to do this, 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 and this. And you get to say, I don't do that. I don't do that. Okay, knife play, but it has to be this kind of thing. And whether or not they have a safe word, and all this, you talk ahead of time.
Okay.
And you understand their needs. And I think I'm kind of intuitive in that I know what they're getting out of it. And so that's what I was trying to provide. Sometimes it's a release, just tension release. They just don't want to think for a little while. And it's get them out of their heads. And that's whether you are flogging or anything else, they just want to be out of their heads. They may be into pain. And that's what the endorphins that are created. It's almost an addiction for a lot of these
Did you get
men
trained
and women.
to do this? Was this a training thing where you went to
I worked with another dominatrix
Okay.
for a while. I met her. It was just happenstance that we met. And she said, with you being a nurse, you know what's safe and what's not safe. You know how to do certain things to people and not permanently injure them.
I didn't make that connection between the nurse and dominatrix, but yeah, that's kind of a wicked little connection right there.
Well, it's great because of the psychology of it. You're always dealing with people on a very personal level. And the slide over into being a dominatrix, that is it, and you're able to speak to someone, to talk with them, negotiate with them about the things they want without blushing, without giggling, without going, oh my God, you want me to what? You do it with a very straight face. You're used to dealing on this level, sexual level, body functions, that kind of thing. You don't embarrass the other person by talking about it.
Was this in the 80s or 90s? Are you still doing this? Or
Oh no, honey, I'm way too old and fat to do this.
I didn't know there was rules. Okay.
Oh my God. She knows.
You guys didn't hear that, but the PA back there said she's the dom now.
She knows how to beat me just right.
Right. When she tries to duck me when she's missing a deadline, I just send her a bunch of whips and chains, and then she actually comes back and talks.
I said that's because I like it, not
That's
because
fantastic. So the 80s is when it was.
late 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to place this in time, basically, when you're writing fanfic, then you move into being a dominatrix for a while, and I'm sure you're just looking for different ways to make money, but also you had some pleasure out of that and some enjoyment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and I'm pansexual, so it didn't matter, about some of my clients were transsexuals. And so it can be as simple as male to female transsexual who really needed help in feeling more comfortable with being in a sexual situation and just touching sometimes and talking about what they needed and everything. We take it for kind of granted that, oh yeah, you can talk about that. You're talking about the late 80s, early 90s, and the mentality
It's completely different than it is now. Yeah.
Yeah.
We couldn't have this conversation and record it and put it. Really, there was barely the internet at that point, but we couldn't do what we're doing right now.
No.
And even just the GRL aspect of it, I don't think that would have been happening. And
it was though.
Well, but not in
surprised.
St. Louis, Missouri, at a freaking hotel downtown.
It was though.
Really?
Yes.
See?
The KS stuff, all of that. We had conventions all over the United States. But of course, the more risque covers, which there were, they were boldly drawn.
Okay.
They boldly went there, and they would sometimes be asked, you need to put that under the table if it was way too suggestive. But the ones that were, no penises were seen, but, they were in a clinch or even a kiss, that was still okay. But you'd get people walking through who are like, what what is this a convention about?
Priests.
Sci-fi, you know.
Yeah.
Isn't that Kirk and Spock? Yes. But they're in an alternate universe.
So take me from your dominatrix in, let's say, the early 90s, somewhere in there. You're a nurse. Now, did you just go back to just nursing full-time through 90s? Take me from there till now to where you are now writing romance. What happened? There's a big life, right? But, I mean, what got you from there to here?
Basically, I was working... those were the years that I was drinking and using a lot. I finally, in 1990, I overdosed big time. And I was like very, very, very lucky to have survived.
Is that what you're on? Or?
Heroin.
Yeah. Okay.
I had graduated.
Yep.
In the early days, as a nurse, you didn't have to sign out people's pain medications.
I've heard about this time.
And if they were left over in the drawer, in the med drawer, well, they disappear. And I was one of the people that was, I called myself a functioning heroin addict. I really was. You know, I could go to work, stoned out of my gourd, work a night shift. Nobody ever asked, you know, are you high? They never said a word. They just figured you were probably brain dead because you were working nights.
Sure.
And I had slowly but surely spent everything I ever earned. I was living out of my car. I was taking showers at friends' homes so that I could go to work, earn more money so that I could buy more drugs. And finally, I OD'd. That wasn't my first time. It was probably the third or fourth time. But this time, I woke up in a hospital because apparently I'd gotten myself out of my shooting gallery, which is a house that a lot of addicts are hanging around in, and
they like
you're
to
shooting
shoot
up
there.
And I'd woken up in my own vomit, and I stumbled outside, and somebody called the paramedics, you know, because they found this unconscious woman out on the street. And that wasn't even in the hospital 24 hours. And I was sitting there thinking, is this how you want it to end? Is this, because if you keep going, next time you're not going to wake up. It's as simple as that. I was drinking just as heavily. So I had two depressant things going on in my life. And I finally said, I need help. You know, I detoxed on a friend's couch before I could get into the Van Ness house in Silver Lake area. And that they had a line of people waiting to get in there. I got lucky because I went to a meeting, and ironically, I was feeling like I was going to use, and I thought, oh, there's a meeting over there. I'm just going to go to it. I go in, and it's all these guys that are there. And I was like, wait a minute, where are the women? It was all gay men. And this one guy said, he turns around and he goes, honey, do you realize that this is a men's stag meeting? And I went, oh, I'm sorry. And he goes, no, are you feeling like you're going to use or you're going to drink? And I went, yeah. And he goes, no problem. He just put his arm around me, brought me on in, and he announced to everyone there, you know, let's take care of our girl. And from that moment on, I was like, I'm where I need to be. And that was 31 years ago.
Well, that's also an interesting connection, you know, to the gay community too. Where, just an interesting little side note that in years later you're now writing gay romance, but an interesting kind of tie-in, I guess.
Well, and because I met so many gay men in my life through the AIDS crisis and all this kind of stuff, I took care of. There's a very famous gay writer in the 80s and 90s, Paul Monette. He was a National Book Award winner and all this. I took care of him until the day he died. And So I got to meet so many people that I lost. And the whole interaction, the relationships, absolutely adore gay men because they're not afraid of women at all, and they don't feel awkward around you, and they will accept you into their bonds, but they can also be the worst too. But it was from them I learned that men can be emotional and have emotional relationships. And that's what women are looking for in writing. That's why a lot of men who do gay writing look at this and go, wait a second, I don't get it. Because 85% of the people who are reading my gay stories are women. Why is this? Well, why does Pornhub have like 40% of their gay subscribers are women?
Yeah.
When they came out with this series, Queer as Folk, all these Canadian actors came down to Tower Records at that time, and they were signing the DVDs. And they were around the corner. They come in and they were like, all the way around the corner are all these women waiting to sign this stuff, having them sign it. They were like, where are the guys? And I was like, guys, you got to understand, this is your audience. These are the people who get this kind of...
We've had this conversation so many times, my friends and I, and the Brigadiers, over and over and over. For one, like when people ask me what I do, I went through this story earlier today, and I explained to them, when they finally get to the point where I narrate gay romance, and that typically takes a couple breakdowns of me explaining I'm an actor, then I go from actor to audiobook narrator, romance narrator to romance. When we get to that point, they immediately assume that I'm basically a bunch of gay men are listening to my stuff.
No.
Because I say I'm going to conventions and things like that. And also they assume that I would be uncomfortable with this, which admittedly, at a time in my life when I was younger, I was raised in a farm town in Ohio, and these things were, and I'm a preacher's kid, so these things were just not in my life. I didn't understand.
Yeah.
I was ignorant, not dumb, ignorant. I just didn't get it. Once it was explained to me, this is a beautiful thing about this community. I love this aspect of it. I've seen this happen a few times in our community, and I'm not like pitchforking up, but dude, you're my 6th interview today, and this was a fun thing that I watched happen. A couple of years ago, I watched a guy in the gay community who didn't understand transgenders, if that is even the way to say it. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to insult anyone, but just didn't understand it. Ask a question and just got fucking pulverized in comments in a Facebook group because of it. People thought that he was being rude, and people thought that he was being insensitive. He just simply didn't understand a transition.
Exactly.
I remember being that so strongly. Now, I will say that for the most part, our community is so welcoming and so forgiving. Walking around GRL, I have fantastic experiences all day long. And I love that about us. They took somebody like me that was very ignorant in a lot of these things, been so welcoming as I learn about a community that I'm a straight man. And I'm just about as vanilla as they fucking come. This is me. It's my life. That's what I do. But I want to understand, and I want to be supportive, but more importantly, the people around here also want that. It's an amazing community that we've come from, and that we get to be participate in. If I had more coffee, I would explain to you why I started talking about that.
No, but it actually makes really good sense, because it's all about perceptions, and you as a straight man looked at the world in a certain way. But then when you found out about this community, you have the ability, which I hate to say it, a lot of straight men don't, because they feel threatened by it. They won't even consider thinking about that there is another way to look at gay writing, that I don't know, they'd be threatened by. If my wife read that stuff you know, I'd divorce her.
Sure.
This is just not good. Because he takes that on as a reflection on himself and on his manhood. And that's not the case. You know, it's just like a guy watching a porn. You get off on it. Women, we're okay with the visual, but when we get to reading it and we get to imagine it in our own heads, in our own way, that's where we really get off on it. Where you really
and
enjoy
apparently
it.
when they're listening to audiobooks, they use bullets and shit in the background too. But that's a whole nother deal that this has been a running joke for a long time in the group. I did not know until a few months ago, and everybody's going to laugh at me once again, but I did not know that women actually do get off on audiobooks. I didn't understand this. And I'm an audiobook narrator, so it's what I do. And I didn't understand it until one of my friends explained it to me that this was the case. So, and it's entirely changed my look. I didn't know. I didn't fucking know. Guys don't. Well, I can't say this about all guys, but most guys are very visual. That's what we.
And that's it.
Exactly.
That's it. And women can create their own vision.
Yeah.
Your voice gives us the type of voice that we.
It's when I get low into the
close our-
microphone like
close our
that.
eyes
Yeah.
and love it. You know, it's like, ooh, sexy. You know,
I'm learning more and more about this, and it's a humorous topic in a way. And trust me, we've had some fun talking about this one, but it's also a very interesting topic to me in a lot of ways because I didn't understand entirely why women were listening to this at first. I think you hit on a fantastic point of women are. How would I put this? Women are, well, first, women are into the romance part of it. There's no doubt about that. But women are looking for more than the alpha male brute to come in and tell them exactly what they want. They're looking for the feelings that are associated with this. It goes back to the men are from Mars, women are from Venus, that whole concept.
Exactly.
That, to be quite honest, too, they should teach that shit in school because...
If they did, we'd have much better relationships and longer lasting.
It's taken me a career just to start to figure it out.
Do you feel like it's actually helped you in your relationship?
Yeah, so ours had a very interesting. I'm also an alcoholic, as we talked about earlier. It was really cool to run into somebody who was an alcoholic addict with a shit ton of recovery. But my sponsor, one of the first things he had me do years ago. And this is before I found lasting sobriety. I've been trying to get sober for 12 years, and I got 5.5 years. So it took a little while. But one of the first things he did was he gave me that book, "Women Are from Venus, Men Are from Mars."
Right.
Because I was struggling, as a lot of us are. I've been married for 20 years, and I was struggling in my marriage. Go figure. I was drinking a half gallon of vodka a day. It wasn't great for the relationship.
No.
But he gave me that book, and I was pissed. Because my wife wanted to read it at the same time as me. Now, here's the reason I thought I was pissed, because Jody's really smart, and she reads really fast.
She'd have had it done in 2 seconds.
Yeah, so she wanted to read it along, and I was going slow, and so we'd want to discuss it. And then after a couple chapters, I just put it off entirely, and she'd read the entire thing, and then we got in a fight about that. But I did eventually read it, and it made a huge difference. Just this concept alone of when she gets angry, she wants to talk about things. When I get angry or any sort of emotional
you want
state,
to fix it.
Yeah, immediately. That's
And that's, I've been married now 25. I was married 3 times to men.
Okay.
2 of them, I was drinking heavily. We were both in the fishbowl together. And the second one stabbed me literally in the neck. I have a nice scar here.
With a dart?
No, with a butcher knife.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I survived.
Wow.
But even with number 3, I was like, just something's wrong here. I just can't communicate with this man. Then I meet Cynthia. And it was like, I don't have to work at it anymore.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is just like we're on the same wavelength. We know how to talk to each other. We speak about our feelings. Novel concept.
Still don't do very well.
She doesn't want to fix anything.
Yeah,
but she's also a psychotherapist. So I get a lot of, and so how do you feel about that? I just want to fucking kill you. That's what I feel about that. And it's like, well, that seems to be some very negative feelings that you're having. You want to see negative feelings? But but it has also been a learning experience for me because I have now learned how to let things go. I've learned which hills I'm going to die on. Used to be I was angry all the time. I was angry at the world. I was angry at everything. And now, maybe due to age, but also I think it's like through AANA, I've got the tools that I need to be able to cope with life. Because beforehand, I was just like a train, running amok. I was just going off the rails, literally. I didn't know how to deal with anything, and yet I thought I was dealing very well with everything. And once I didn't have alcohol or drugs to fall back on, that's when I began to realize I really have no clue what I'm doing. And luckily, I had the right people around me.
Yeah, well, our brand of crazy, and there's a lot of, we're not better or worse off, I think, than most other people in life, but our particular brand of crazy is one that requires a manual. And luckily, a bunch of guys 100 or so years ago wrote one, and it's pretty amazing. And it works
it works for quite a number of people.
Yeah, for somebody like me and you, that one works out, and it tells us how to walk through life. I'm told that you've written some books that you brought to this thing.
I have written some books. I've got the Coulter Woodard mystery series that's continuing. It's a detective and a forensic psychologist, and the three of goes through 3 books, their relationship as friends, and then terrible things happen through all of this. They break up, they get back together. And then I thought, well, I want to, this was pretty heavy. I'm going to change out to something a little lighter. So I wrote 3 novellas that we've grouped under a book called Songs of Love. And it ranges, all of them have, not all of them, but several of those stories do have characters in them that do have drug or alcohol problems and have gotten through it.
Okay.
Also an older male couple, which is great. And now I'm a couple other little novellas, Thawing the Iceman. I've got one that's basically set in Hollywood, and that one we put it out for free quite often, so some people can kind of catch up with that if they go into my website.
Okay.
And my website is www. Calabrese.com.
MJCalabrese.com.
Yeah. And the last series, the newest one.
It reminds me of mozzarella and basil with a little drizzle of good stuff.
Do you know where MJ Calabrese comes from? Because that's not my real
California?
name.
I don't know.
No, it's a cartoon. If you're a lesbian, you may remember these from the 80s.
If I was, I do the same thing. Anyways, so
it was a cartoon, and the main character was MJ Calabrese, Morgan J. Calabrese.
I did not know that.
But I better push Royally Indebted, newest one. Going to be 2 more sequels. It's a contract marriage. Okay. That works out between a lord who is, I just took like Downton Abbey and turned it on its ears. Basically set it in contemporary times. And then their 2 sons, the heir and the spare, and it's following them through their young lives.
Well, so you've got quite a little collection out already.
I'm just loving it.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. The stories just seem to flow, and I'm enjoying myself. I'm learning from every story how to get better and better and better, as you do it. I'm meeting people that I read their stories and I go, God, I want to be like you. Almost. I want to twist that a little bit and create a new story.
Yeah.
But it's definitely has inspired me to improve, keep improving myself, keep getting better at this. And so that's my goal. I'm going to do this probably until they roll me off to the old folks home, just as long as my fingers can, type on a computer and can I make that print a little larger? Then I will be out there working.
Are you doing any of the author lounge things tomorrow?
I am. It's at what, 11 to 11:45, isn't it?
Yes, 11 to 11:45. That's right.
That's me. I had the signing yesterday.
Okay.
I mean today. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. I've lost track of it too. Well, it seems like it was 2 days ago. It's been a great day. I've had a lot of fun, but
we've been here since Tuesday, and we've just go the entire time we've been here. Yeah. Even before people got all the planned stuff set up, meeting everybody. Mm-hmm. I was sitting and I'm doing some writing down in the lobby, and I looked up, and I've been talking to Shane Morton back and forth for the last 2 years, and I see him. I stood up and I looked over, and he looks over at me and he goes,
"Your peeps are here."
and he and I were talking about C.S. Poe, how good she was, and because he lives in L.A., and we were discussing how it is to try to get your work on different venues like Hulu and HBO Max, Netflix, sell these stories to those different cable channels, networks. And I said, oh yeah, hers is very cinematic. It'd be so easy to adapt them to TV. And I looked over, and here she is walking around the corner. I went,
look at that.
And she looked at me and kind of wide-eyed, and she goes,
look, checking either side. Who's she looking at?
And I said, come here.
Yeah, we all do that.
But you feel comfortable enough to do that here.
Yeah. Well,
you really do.
To be able to walk up and introduce I've talked about this all day long, and everybody knows my story of meeting Greg Tremblay was one of my heroes in the industry, a guy that I really looked up to, and suddenly I got to meet him a couple of years ago, and that's going on. Kurt was on today. He was one of the guys I super looked up to, and plus all these authors that I've heard so much about that I've finally gotten to meet. It's amazing. Now, I suck at names, so what'll happen to me, my first year I did this, I actually made this is me. I made a OneNote sheet, and everybody that I met, I wrote down who they were. I grabbed their pic off of Facebook, and then I wrote down what we talked about, so I can flip through in a couple weeks and try and remember. And that helped a little bit. Not enough, because I'm still I'm walking around this. Now it's been 2 years to be fair, but I'm walking around this one now, and some faces I remember and some names I remember, but rarely do they go together. Oops, sorry about that. It's getting better though. But yeah,
the best thing in the world are the badges.
Yeah.
Because
awesome.
you may go, okay, I can always take a look at these, and
I got the best business card here. It's
you do look at the pineapple. I love it.
Yeah, and
there's
so
are you in South?
Yeah, there's no contact information, and
you're Chicago or something, aren't you?
Columbus, Ohio.
Ohio. I knew you were Midwest. Your voice.
Nick is Nick actually started in my studio. So
did he?
Yeah.
He did all three of her.
The Warrior's Way, the Coulter Woodard.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. He lives around the corner from 10 miles, close enough around the corner from me.
He's great.
He's fantastic.
He was easy to work with.
Yeah,
and that and he was attentive. He would listen if we said, okay, this little bit you need to change or whatever. Got right on it. He did it.
He's a super nice guy. He's incredibly cute, and he's
that part I haven't really seen.
He's incredibly professional.
And that's what I really liked.
Yeah.
Because working in LA, I don't care what you look like or anything like that. As long as you treat me professionally, it's like having a good surgeon. As long as you can be a total jerk in your other life, but you need to just be super professional with me. And I respond very, very well to that. And I'm a nice person.
Sure.
So it's like
you've been wonderful on this. We've done almost 45 minutes because I could talk to you forever. The rest of them today I've been doing like a half hour. But yeah, and we just keep on going. But you got the reading tomorrow, the Author's Lounge. So everybody, if you're at GRL, please go visit.
Please come see me. I am a really nice person. I'm wonderful to talk to.
When people say that sort of thing, it's true. Look at this smile.
really
You can believe
am.
her. Two, thanks for sharing some of your story that might be, you talked about a lot of things that some people wouldn't feel comfortable talking about.
And I feel like if someone feels like I need to talk about things like that, I'm easily accessible. You can find me, Facebook Messenger. I'm fine with just send me out a message. I'm more than happy to talk.
Mm-hmm.
There was something I put in a biography about, the dominatrix thing and all of this, and that I'm a nurse and that I'm a recovering alcoholic and drug addict. And I've gotten two queries about, one was the dominatrix thing. The other one was, I'm trying to write a character that is in AA.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what it's like. And in the long run, I said, you need to go to an AA meeting.
Yeah,
and I said, if it says, just get on the website and find one in your area. And if it says it's open, you just go, you sit there and you be quiet and you listen. And you will know what it's all about.
Yeah. And to meet a lot of, a lot of people that have our brand of crazy. Which good luck with that. You get us all in a room, and
I'm one of them.
Well, so
Yeah. That was one of the things when we were talking, and I was trying to decide if I was going to use Avril as my. I've always called her Avril because I speak French, and Avril, and so she. That was one of the things that kind of said. I said, I'm a recovering alcoholic and drug addict, and she said, me too.
Well,
and I said, what was your
I'm
drug
not a
of choice?
recovering alcoholic. I do still drink.
Drug
I
addict.
don't drink a lot.
Yeah.
I'm a social drinker more than anything.
Yeah.
But I'm a crack cocaine. I was a crack cocaine.
And so she knew, she could understand my mentality
and
my brand of crazy.
That's exactly where you get my brand of crazy
brand of crazy.
Yeah.
And
but I'm winding this up because we got to get off. But thank you so much. I appreciate this.
Thank you so much for asking me.
Yeah, we'll be around. The next thing I do is I hit this cool little outro video, and then we're off the air. So wave bye to everybody. See y'all tomorrow. Our first one is at 10. We got Drew Gibson coming on tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. I'll see y'all later.